Woke up this morning with a wine glass in my hand. Whose wine? What wine? Where the hell did I dine? I just got home from work. It's 6:30, and I just heard Peter Frampton made it into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Pretty shocking and surprising to me, but I'm a big Peter Frampton fan, as you're about to see. I actually have, not making this up, exactly 40 Peter Frampton albums. Now, that's more than he's released. I have some duplicates, and I got some imports and bootlegs and some other stuff. But that's a lot of material. I am going to show you Peter Frampton's discography. It's kind of interesting, so stick with this because you're going to find that he really hasn't had a whole lot of chart success in the United States and certainly not in the UK, with the exception of obviously Frampton Comes Alive and I'm in You. So he's had a long career, and I've been a fan since 1976 when me and everybody else bought Frampton Comes Alive. I still think Frampton Comes Alive is the greatest live album ever made. Now, if you want to see other Frampton videos before I start this one, you can go to Alan Rosenberg Show and hit playlists. And there is a whole category called Favorite Albums. And if you go to, album reviews. Go to album reviews. And there is a video called Why Frampton Comes Alive is the Greatest Live Album Ever. And then there is another video called Treasure or Trash where I talk about I'm in You. So let's go through his catalog. I'm actually really happy he made it into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I'm going to do another video right after this one where I talk about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But he is, I think, a great artist. But album by album, well, let's go through it. So one of the things, this brings you back memories. Here's an old book from Peter Frampton that came out, his early history, and it ends around the I'm in You time. So, Frampton, opening band for a lot of people, started headlining small places like the Winterland, and then Frampton Comes Alive exploded. But he had to work his way up, obviously, starting with Humble Pie and The Herd before that. His first solo record came out in 1972, and it was called Wind of Change. And I think it is a great, great album. To me, this is in the top 3 of best Peter Frampton albums. That is a terrific release, and here it is on CD as well. So let's stick this puppy somewhere over there. Now, his second album came out in 1973, and he actually named the band. It was called Frampton's Camel, and another really fine release. Oh, should I mention some of my favorite tracks from here? Well, Wind of Change got Fig Tree Bay, great opener. I love every song on this album. It's got a mixture of beautiful acoustic, melodic music, the amazing cover of Jumpin' Jack Flash, where that's what a cover is all about. He completely dissects and completely changes Jumpin' Jack Flash, and it's got It's a Plain Shame, All I Want to Be Is By Your Side, very different than the acoustic version on the live record. Really excellent debut. Frampton's Camel, like I said, 73, and that's got a bunch of really good tracks on there. Most notably, it's got the studio version of Do You Feel Like We Do? And White Sugar's on there, just at the time of year. And it's got my favorite Frampton song of all time, Lines on My Face, the original studio version. Let's stick that one over there, shall we? And let's keep going. I don't know how I'm going to fit so many. Third album, Something's Happening, with the cover from Hypnosis. And that one's got the studio version of Doobie Wah, and I Want to Go to the Sun, and the Baby Something's Happening title track, Sail Away. Another fine release. None of these albums, and I got all kinds of clippings, so if you see things fall out, I've been collecting clippings on Frampton forever, and I stick them in there, and I got them all over the place. So that was now 74 with Something's Happening. Then you go to 75 with the self-titled Peter Frampton album. Looks like that. And starting to get a little bit bigger, starting to headline Winterland and things like that. That's the one that's got the studio version of Show Me the Way. And Nowhere's Too Far From My Baby. Baby, I Love You Way. Penny for Your Thoughts, I'll Give You Money. Step up on this album. Definitely a good one. But still, opening band or headlining smaller places. He's about to break, though, isn't he? Because in 1976, he releases what I believe to be the greatest live album ever made, Frampton Comes Alive. And if you doubt why it's the greatest live album ever made, well, just check out my video, because it really does explain it. Here's a version of Frampton Comes Alive. There's a bunch of different versions of it. This is a remastered on single CD, but then you got a deluxe edition that had come out right there, the 25th anniversary, where they reconfigured the show, the CD, to be how it was in the concert. Very different from the sequence of the original album. Plus, they threw in some bonus tracks that were never on the live album originally. So that was a cool move, and that's really good. Although I gotta say, I still go back to the original Frampton Comes Alive album. It's a better sequence. Here is the original Frampton Comes Alive that I bought back in 1976, and it looked like this. And I played it so much. You know when people say I played an album so much that I wore out the grooves and I had to get another one? Well, that is actually what happened with Frampton Comes Alive. And if you don't believe it, this was the second version that I had to buy. And it was a little bit different because now it highlighted in the gatefold the 4 previous albums that were released before Frampton Comes Alive. So I really did play that one so much I had to rebuy it. There you go. Frampton Comes Alive 76. Now, Frampton Comes Alive hit #1 in the US, hit #6 in the UK. The Frampton album, the self-titled one from 75, that one, hit #32 in the US. That was his first top 40 US album. And then Frampton Comes Alive goes to #1, top 10 in the UK. All right, next up, 1977, and you get I'm in You. And it looked like that is the original vinyl. And this album hit #2 in the US, was considered kind of a disappointment. Still sold a lot of copies. I actually was disappointed with it as well. Hit #19 in the UK. And that's pretty much the last UK charting album, at least until 1995. This album's got the title track, which I did love. But, you know, the second single was Signed, Sealed, Delivered, I'm Yours. I'm a Roadrunner was another cover. I did love that song, Tried to Love. That's a really cool track. And if you listen closely on Tried to Love, you will hear Mick Jagger singing harmony. Now, of course, around that time, Frampton is all over the place in the press. And I've been collecting clippings here. He is in Cream magazine before Frampton Comes Alive, when Something's Happening came out. So I was a fan. I was watching him. Thought he was a great guitarist. And here he is on that famous cover of Rolling Stone magazine, which didn't help his career at all. Went to a pretty boy as opposed to being the great guitarist that he actually is. And, you know, Frampton, Saved by the Power of Love. This is from Frampton's Camel. So I've been a fan of Frampton for a long time. And here is the review in Rolling Stone magazine of I'm in You. And they obviously didn't love it that much. Okay, that's 1977. Now he takes a 2-year break and he comes back in 1979 with Where I Should Be. Had a minor hit single with, right there, I Can't Stand It No More. And I thought this was a pretty good record. It did hit #19 in the US. So this is now his 4th top 40 album in the US, and it would be his last one. So he did not have a really big chart run. This is 79. But I Can't Stand It No More was kind of a big hit, or a hit. Again, covers like You Don't Know Like I Know. She Don't Reply, that was a great one. We Just Begun, It's a Sad Affair. Some really good tracks on there, but not a great album. And that's what you could say about a lot of his albums. Some really great songs, but from beginning to end, not that many that are awesome. By the way, here's a really cool bootleg, Shine on the Shrine. So for you Frampton fans, and you might want to see some of my collectible vinyl, we'll go with that. All right, as we're about to have a collapse. Hopefully not. Let's get Frampton Comes Alive 25th up there again. And this is a cool bootleg. Well, it was a radio show. This is 1979 Frampton Comes Alive Supergroups in Concert. Even though Where I Should Be was not like a massively great record, he was still killing it live. And that was a very cool live show. Not going to work, is this? We'll just stick this up there for now. And then we will keep going. So there's the live show of Supergroups in concert from '79. Now we're heading into 1981. And he took another 2 years to make the album that I think is his second best album of all time. I love this album to death. This is Breaking All the Rules. I have mentioned this album in a lot of videos, including Best Albums of the Year in 1981. This album is killer. A little bit dated, but this is a very live sounding record, which is why it's so powerful. It sounds like they just recorded it live in the studio. He's got a killer band. Rise Up, Wasting the Night Away, You Kill Me, Lost a Part of You, and the title track, Breaking All the Rules. I always said if I had some time to talk to Peter Frampton, I would give him an earful. Why have you ignored that album all these years? Breaking All the Rules is a tremendous album. The title track alone should be played at every one of your concerts. So Peter, if you ever watch this video, Alan Rosenberg says, Breaking All the Rules. How did you not even put it on your live albums after Frampton Comes Alive? I don't get it. 1982, The Art of Control. This album was not a big hit for me. Very dated. I wasn't a fan, even really at the time. And Eye for an Eye, like all of his albums, he's got some good tracks on it, but just not that great. And by now, his career is kind of not that good. This was a thing called Rise Up, which was kind of a mini version of Breaking All the Rules, before Breaking All the Rules came out. Let's keep going as I'm going to keep going. Now we are up to 1986. He's trying to start all over again, right? Having trouble. He's not selling any records, getting dumped by his record label. He does get picked up by Atlantic, and he puts out Premonition in 1986. They put a lot of promotion into the single Lying. I didn't think Lying was that great of a song, to be honest with you, but it's a fine record. Check it out, Hiding from a Heartache, man. That's a great song. You know so well. The title track's pretty good. Moving a Mountain, that's a good one. But the best song on here, another song, Peter, you should be playing that live ever since, All Eyes on You. It's a shame. Some of these albums have some amazing songs that have just been buried and forgotten. But it's a decent record. Okay, that's Premonition. I got a couple of versions of that one as well. Now, we are heading into 1985 and another album on Atlantic, When All the Pieces Fit. And another real good single, Holding On to You, is a good song. Couple of real good songs on this album. More ways than one. But again, it's Peter Frampton albums I tend to find, and I'm a huge fan. Very few of his albums are like from beginning to end a perfect work of art. They're a little bit spotty sometimes, but they're all, worthwhile if you're a Frampton fan anyway. All right, let's take some of these CDs. We are now, he gets dumped by Atlantic. That was 1985 or 7 or something like that. We now go all the way to 1994, and he releases a self-titled album called Peter Frampton. It's on Relativity Records, and this was a tour de force. This is an excellent, excellent Frampton album. Definitely one of his best ones. Some really great songs on here. You can be sure. You can't take that away. He does play off the hook sometimes. That is a good live track that he plays live instrumental. That's a fine record. He also put out this mini thing called Acoustics, which was some acoustic tracks added on as a single for You Can Be Sure, which came from that album. So, that was a really fine record. I was hoping it was going to be a big hit, but it wasn't, unfortunately, back in 1994. Around that time, I think he put out the Shine On collection. This is a great double collection. If you want to get into Peter Frampton, this is a terrific 2-CD compilation that I highly, highly recommend checking out. Some bootlegs. Here's another bootleg. Frampton Comes Alive again. I do like Frampton live. I've seen him so many times. Now, after that self-titled Frampton album, he does an interesting idea. Meatloaf did Bat Out of Hell 2, was a huge success. Frampton says, well, I'm going to do Frampton Comes Alive 2. and that came out in 1995. Did not even chart in the U.S., but shockingly, it made 121 in the U.K. It's a really interesting collection. I like it. It's got some latter-day stuff, which is what you want on a live record. You don't want to repeat. But it's got some stuff on here that's not available anywhere else. Most of all, some really good tracks. Talk to Me, I'm in You is a good version. Hang On to a Dream's a nice version. It's a fine, fine live record, and really, in a more perfect world, would have done better than it did. It's a shame. After that, he did another live record called Live in Detroit. Had a video, I think a DVD came out on this one as well. And, now you're starting to repeat Frampton Comes Alive tracks to a certain extent. And I just don't see the purpose of that. You already have the greatest live album ever, in my opinion. You don't need another one. But he does put some things on here, Oh for Another Day. Nice to have that live. You had to be there. He does a killer version of I Don't Need No Doctor from the Humble Pie days. Obviously, it's not going to be as good as Rockin' the Fillmore from Humble Pie, but it's a good collection. Then he takes a break for many years, 3 years or so, 2003. He puts on Peter Frampton Now. None of these albums are going to chart, unfortunately. Really, in a way, the highlight of this was he does a really nice version of While My Guitar Gently Weeps, of course, the George Harrison Beatles cover. But it's a fine record, and that's what you're going to see me say. It's another fine album. Is it a classic? You go back to it all the time now, but it's pretty damn good. This one made some news. 2006, Frampton finally does an all-instrumental album, and this was a great album, and it actually won a Grammy. And all of a sudden, Frampton was back in the musical eyes the way he should be, as a great original guitarist. One thing about Peter Frampton is that he has a real unique style. Unlike most players that I love, he's not a blues player. He's very jazzy. He's got a sound that's Peter Frampton. It's definitely not bluesy. And, when you hear a solo, it's Peter Frampton, which is the mark of a great player. And it was nice to have that instrumental record. I saw him on the 35th Frampton Comes Alive tour. You could buy a live CD at the show, which is what that was. That was fun. It was a really long show. I think like a 3+ hour show. After that, at some point, he did, no, I don't think he did this one yet. He did, after Fingerprints, he did Thank You, Mr. Churchill. And I saw this tour as well. This was a fine record, too. A lot of really good stuff. I think he had his son help out on some of this. And it's a killer version. He's got his son singing. This was a good record. He plays like a mandolin type on one of these called Vaudeville Nana and the Banjo Lele. That's what it was. So Banjo Lele. But another fine record from Peter. Thank You, Mr. Churchill. None of these albums, unfortunately, are selling in big quantities. He did this thing, which was interesting. Hummingbird in a Box. It's kind of a mini album. This has got 7 songs on it. This is the vinyl. Again, good. Not great, not amazing, but plenty good. And I also have that on CD. It came in like this digipack type of a thing, which is okay. Go like that, maybe. No, that's going down. Don't go down. Try like that. All right, let's keep going. The hell with it. Okay. After Hummingbird in the Box, he put out this thing called Acoustic. I was very excited about this. I was like, that's a good idea. I think it's going to do well. It's going to sound well. It didn't do that much for me. A lot of these songs were kind of acoustic already. But Fig Tree Bay, it was nice to get that. That's always been a favorite song of mine, the opening track on his first album, Wind the Change. It's just a deep cut from Frampton that's so great. And it was nice to have Sail Away on here. It's okay. Frampton Acoustic Classics was the name of that one. And that's pretty much where we were at up until more recent times, where he did the interesting collection called the Peter Frampton Band All Blues. I'm sitting here telling you that he's really not a blues player. I mean, he could play the blues, but I don't think me or anybody else thinks of Peter Frampton as a blues player. He's more jazzy. But this was a decent collection. It was okay. doing some blues covers. You know, he's trying to think out of the box, obviously, to keep interest in him. And that was definitely out of the box. And then the last real album from him up until the most recent live one is called Frampton Forgets the Words, another instrumental album, but this was an instrumental album of covers. And it was pretty good. I actually went into it thinking I was going to love it. And it's got some great stuff. Loving the Alien is awesome, the Bowie song. And Avalon, the Roxy Music song. Isn't It a Pity is great. But overall, it was good. You know, which is my reaction to a lot of Frampton stuff. It's good. Very good. Some great songs. Overall, pretty good. He's got lots of greatest hits collections. Here's another Superstars in Concert Live disc that I have. So there really is the whole Frampton discography. He did put out a recent live album that I have not gotten yet because I looked at the track listing and I was like, are you kidding me, Peter? It's tracks from Frampton Comes Alive again. They're not going to be as good as the original. Why would you do that? You need to do it with Breaking All the Rules and some other tracks. Peter, give me a call. We'll talk. Anyway, with that said, I am obviously a big fan of Peter Frampton. I am obviously thrilled that he made it into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You know, why did they do it? It's really interesting. That's going to be my next video. I'm going to be talking about who got in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductions for 2024, why they put it in. I think it's nice that they put Frampton in. Obviously, his health is a great concern. He's definitely been out there more and more, you know, with announced a farewell tour that he's never going to play again. He wound up playing arenas, Madison Square Garden, the Los Angeles Forum. He hadn't played those places probably since like 79, but because he announced it was his farewell, he was able to play those places again and sell them out. Said he would never play again, and he's still on the road doing the best he can. So, you know, I'm happy that he's getting in while he's still able to enjoy it and appreciate it, because they missed the boat on so many people before him. But let me know what you think, Mr. Peter Frampton. This is actually a Peter Frampton concert shirt. I don't know if you can make that out. And I've seen him tons of times. I prefer to see him in a small place, not Madison Square Garden. Though I've seen him in Madison Square Garden, I like to see him at Westbury Music Fair and smaller places. But he's still a great live performer. Always seems like such a nice guy. And he has left behind a huge legacy of music. If you don't know him, you need to get Frampton Comes Alive because it is the greatest live album of all time. Watch my video. It explains why. Also, Breaking All the Rules. It's got a little bit of a dated sound, but it's a killer album. That's my second favorite Frampton album of all time. And I'd probably throw in the self-titled Peter Frampton album. That's a really good one as well. The rest of them are real good. You want to get... Oh, this one. This would be my third favorite. When the Change is a killer album. That's great, too. So this one would be number 4. And there's always a lot of compilations. This is a really good one. Shine On, a collection. That's a terrific one. As always, thanks for watching. Congratulations, Peter Frampton. Happy birthday. What a birthday present, right? Today he turned 74. So nice getting inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame on your 74th birthday. Wonderful. Thanks for watching. If you're new to my channel, hit subscribe. Check out my other videos. And as always, stay safe, stay healthy. And I'll see you next time, relatively soon, because I'm going to do another video later tonight on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductions. Have a good one.